Hello, everybody. Welcome. So glad that you could join me today for Kineo office hours. Today we're going to be talking about administrative defaults. Some of you may already be aware of these administrative defaults. Others of you may not be. I just like to make people aware of some of this stuff because it could make your life a lot easier and make your life go a lot smoother when setting different things up on your site. A little bit about myself. My name is Taylor Craig. I'm the platforms consultant here at Kineo. My job is I get to travel the country and meet with our lovely clients. I've actually got three people that I worked with just this last week joining us today. I'm glad that they're here. And I get to work with you on site, online. We work with you during implementation, making sure that you're getting on board and everything is working the way it's supposed to. So that's a little bit about what I do. A little bit about office hours. We generally do about a 15 to 20-minute presentation where we cover something about Totara. We go over different content inside of the system, any of the settings inside of the system, and then also if you have a suggestion, if there's something that you want to see, please let us know. We'll be glad to add that to our list and go over that and cover that in one of our different sessions. We also make these recordings available on YouTube. We only make the 15-minute presentation available on YouTube. We don't make the after part available on YouTube. So the after part that I'm referring to is 45 minutes of client-only Q&A time. So any questions that you have, bring them to me. We'll go over them. Just keep in mind that you're in the room with other clients, so they will be potentially learning from you, which is a good thing. And you can learn from them as well. But we don't post that part online because that's for our clients only. So the administrative defaults we're going to talk about specifically today is we're going to talk about users' profile defaults, course defaults, and then activities. So different activities and resources will allow you to set different defaults there as well. And we're going to talk about where you set those and kind of how those different things work and are available to you. All right, let me get into my playground site here. So the first one I want to show you is going to be user defaults. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. It may be kind of hard to see my screen. There we go. Might be a little easier to see that way. And I'm going to go to Site Administration. We're going to take a look at user defaults. So if you're having to manually set up users every single day and you want to make sure that certain things are set in default, now you may have a customization that may adjust to those defaults in a different way. But in this case, if we're talking core straight out of the box, there are some things that you can set as defaults for those users. If you go down here to Users, Accounts, User Default Preferences, these are just kind of those annoying settings that you have to set every single time. So email address display, hide my email from everyone, allow everyone to see my email, only other people can see my email if they're in the same course as me. So those are the things that you probably will decide as an organization. What do we want to do here? Do we want to leave these alone? Do we want to change them? How do we want to manage this? Also, the one I want to point out here is going to be this email digest type and forum auto subscribe and the forum auto tracking. I personally like to switch my forum tracking to yes, because then that means that every single user that I create, every new user, they're going to be made alert of any new forum postings that are available to them. Now your email digest type and your forum auto subscribe, both of these settings do deal with forums. So email digest type, no digest, single email per forum post. What that's going to do, just so you're aware of what these do, say you have 5 forums in a course and 5 people posted to all 5 forums. They've hit that post button 5 times in 5 different forums. So that's 5 times 5, so that's 25. So if you use the no digest single email per forum post, someone could potentially, if they're subscribed to that email, receive 25 emails at the end of the day. If you do a complete daily email with full post, what that's going to do is that's going to send them 5 emails, 1 per forum that they're subscribed to. So they would get 5 emails, but They would be the full everything with links back into the system so that they could go and read the things of interest to them. Subjects, that's going to be very similar to that complete email, except it's only going to hold the subject. So it's not going to have any of the details, any of the meat to the forum postings. So something to keep in mind, I kind of like to switch mine over to complete because I don't necessarily want to bombard my users. Now, you're auto-subscribing. So when we're talking subscription to a forum, that means that if I post to a forum, it's going to go ahead, it's going to subscribe me, meaning I will receive emails off of that forum. So if you want it to do that, then you can say, yes, when I post, subscribe me to that forum, or you can say, no, don't automatically subscribe me to those forum discussions. If you've worked with forums any at all, you'll realize that inside of forums, you can determine those subscription settings again there. So it's up to you on what you want to do. But you may want to set it to no, don't automatically subscribe me. You may want to give them the choice at the forum level to say, you know what, this is interesting and I would like for this to follow up with me. So just something to keep in mind, just that way you don't have to change those particular settings for every single user, every single time you set them up. So this is going to impact users moving forward. It is not going to be retroactive, meaning it's not going to go back in and repopulate the users that you've already created. Okay, so if you need to change these things for those people, you will need to go in and change that for those people who've already been created. Okay, so let's take a look at one more. We're going to take a look at course level defaults. There's quite a few more defaults here, and that's going to be also under site administration, but under courses and course default settings. Every single time you set up a course, there are lots and lots of settings that you have to set and change and all that good jazz. If you know you're going to always be using a topics format, it's always going to be a certain type of course, come in here and make these adjustments here. If you know it's always going to be topics format, it's always going to have 3 sections. We're not ever going to use 10 ever. You can set it to 3. Now, keep in mind that you can then, on a course-by-course basis, if you have a course where you do happen to have 10, you can set it, you can change it for that particular course. But if the majority of your courses is 3 sections, why not change it so you don't have to change that drop-down every single freaking time, right? So you're basically just kind of helping yourself out here. Set your default languages. If you want to show the gradebook, if you don't, activity reports, news items, file upload size, completion tracking, kind of how that works and how that functions. You can make those adjustments and changes if you're using groups, languages, things like that. So you do have the ability to make those changes to your system as well. Again, this is going to impact new courses moving forward. It is not going to be retroactive, but still will make your life easier in the long run in setting those defaults. Now the one that people really a lot of times aren't aware of. This particular one is going to be about all of the different plugins, so all of the different activities that are in your system. So you may use Scorum, and you may have to change a bunch of settings every single time you add a Scorum package. So what you can do is you can go under Plugins, Activity Modules, and I'm going to click on Manage Activities first because I want to show you this screen. This is a really cool screen. This particular screen shows me all of the different activities and resources, and then it also shows me how many of them are currently in use on my site. So I have 9 choice activities out there. I have 6 face-to-face activities, 1 feedback, 5. And if I click on this, it's actually going to take me to the list of courses where I can find it. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind and be aware of. But like face-to-face, this one's pretty common that people utilize a lot. Same with Scorum, same with Quiz. Different ones have different settings available that you can adjust and change. You can come in here to face-to-face, click on Settings. And then at this point, you have the ability to come in and you can change all of those default settings. So most all of them. Some of these activities are going to give you almost every single setting. Others may not. You may not see all of them. But lots of different settings that you can change here, and these are going to be your general face-to-face settings. You also have for face-to-face, if you'll notice over here on the left side of my screen, and this is located underneath plugins, activity modules, face-to-face. We have general settings. Then we also have session defaults. So every time you create a session, if you know that you're going to have particular sessions that are set up a certain way, you've got some session defaults that you can set. You can also add in custom fields. We talked about that last week, or the last time we met. You can add in rooms, any kind of notification templates, and site notices as well. So different things here that you have the ability to do for each of these. You can do this with several different activities. So let's take a look at Scorum. So that's going to be one of our more commonly used. There we go, Scorum package. These are all of the settings that you can set here. You can also see that, say you always use a new window. You always use a new window, but sometimes you have to adjust the width. And it's a pain in the rear to have to click that Show More button, right? You can click this advanced checkboxes and it will just always display and it won't be hidden underneath that Show More option. So basically you can kind of decide how you want this to display. And then if you have certain things that you don't use that often, set them how you want them and then set those to advanced and you won't see them. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So those are just some things to keep in mind. There's another area underneath advanced features that I want to show you actually. So I often get comments of, well, if we're not going to use that, why is it being available to me? Why do I see it? Totara is a very diverse system. There's a lot of stuff in the system to accommodate lots and lots of people's needs, right? So those things are available to you, and we don't necessarily know what we can and can't change for you until we talk to you, right? Until we work with you. So there are some things, however, that you may not use on your site, that you don't want to see stuff for. So, for example, if you're not using goals, you have the ability to disable it. If you're not using competencies, you have the ability to disable. Appraisals, you can disable. 360 feedback, you can disable. Learning plans, you can disable. Programs, if you're not using those, you can disable them. Certifications, Totara dashboards, if you're not using those. If you're not using graphical reports, turn it off. Enable record of learning. If you're not going to use record of learning, turn that off. You can turn off positional hierarchies, organizations, enabling the My Team screen. So there are lots of things that you can turn off where you don't have to see that functionality. So just to keep you aware of the things and the defaults out there that are available to you. And again, that was located underneath Site Administration Advanced Features as well. So lots and lots of default settings out there. Just want to make you aware of all of them. Another thing that you can do, guys, if you're looking for something specific and you can't get back to one of these screens that I showed you, say you want to set quiz defaults. Come down here into this search box. It is only going to search the administrative menu. Type in quiz, hit search. What that's going to do is it's going to pull back every single setting relating to quiz. So here I see advanced features. That means that it is something underneath advanced features over here that relates to quiz. You'll see that quiz is highlighted. That's not what I'm looking for. General backup defaults, automatic backup. And here we go. Search results for quiz. This is actually those default settings, right? If I click on it, what it's going to do is it will actually show me, once I've clicked on it, it'll show me where I am in the menu. So it will expand the menu out, and then it will be in bold. So depending on your theme, it may be a different color, it may be bolded, something along those lines, but it will let you know the path of where it's located, so you can just kind of double check and reassure yourself that you are in fact in the correct location. Okay, so hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully this was good information for you. And now I am going to turn the floor back over to you guys. And we do have quite a few folks in attendance today, so I don't want to turn on the mics all at once. So if you have a question, go ahead and type it into the question box, and I can actually give you a mic individually if you need one. If you don't have any questions, thanks so much for joining us. Hope to see you again next time soon.